Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome. I am here with the amazing John Coombs from Global Health Clinic. Now, John is the most incredible person that I have met lately. So I've been right into quantum physics, probably for the past 10 years, but John has been into quantum physics, quantum mechanics, quantum entanglement for so much longer. I don't know how you've kept this alive. It's been amazing. We've needed somebody to keep this space open for all of us. So thank you, John, for all that you've done. And also, I've always been a big fan of Dr. Bruce Lipton, and John is friends with Dr. Bruce Lipton and has also studied the epigenetics and all of the incredible work that Dr. Bruce Lipton's been doing. So, yeah, thank you for chatting to me on my YouTube and podcast today, John. Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. So, I also tune in. John is, I love the holistic approach that you take, John. And so there is, I'm kind of calling it the quantum approach now.
Yep, good. Me too.
It's, I feel like the holistic has come into the quantum space.
Yep.
And you've been working just with so many people, just supporting their well-being, because it's not just physical, and it's not just spiritual. We need everything. We need to take a look at everything and really start to look after ourselves at the moment. So I was watching your the Global Health show, which was amazing, and that had some really good information on it, and had yourself and Dr. Bruce Lipton as well. And you were talking about a lot about there's adrenal fatigue, which I think is quite a big one at the moment. I've also noticed a lot of yogis, yoga people have major adrenal fatigue.
They do.
So what can we do about this?
Well, it's actually very easy to treat once you know how. I've probably worked with about 3,000 people with adrenal fatigue or chronic fatigue.
Wow.
Most of them have been to doctors. Most of them have been to an average of probably 5 or 10 places before they come here, so they're already a bit disillusioned. But on average, in 2 to 3 weeks, we can have people's energy substantially improved. Problem with adrenal fatigue is it affects our gut health, our brain health, our muscles. So the whole body relies on adrenaline. Just about everything that happens in your body relies on adrenaline. And it's a 21st century syndrome, but in the First World War, a lot of people had shell shock. And their adrenals were burnt out. So they just lined up in hospitals and lay them down. They took months to recover, just with rest. And when I came down with adrenal fatigue about 20 years ago, a lot of the knowledge wasn't available, and so I had to rest for a long time. It was incredibly expensive because I had to sell a house to fund 18 months rest. Wow. At the time I was a single parent with 4 full-time kids and 1 part-time, so there's a lot of stress, and I knew I had to stay alive. And the problem with a lot of people who've got adrenal fatigue is they get diagnosed with anxiety, they get diagnosed with depression. They can often get treated like they're a hypochondriac. But in actual fact, their adrenal glands and their adrenal system, which is 45 different hormones, especially hormones relating to the brain, like the hypothalamus, which helps to regulate our emotions or our sleep, and our pituitary, which is a lot about stamina and resilience. They start to deplete. So your whole cycle between your adrenal glands, which are on top of your kidneys, and your brain health starts to spiral out of control. What goes at the same time is the reproductive system, so fertility, libido, things like that start to occur. Now this happened to me in my mid-40s, but it's happening to a lot of people as teenagers. They might get glandular fever.
Right, yeah.
And so we know glands are tied into the hormones, and mostly the glands up here. But so they could get like an Epstein-Barr virus, but that could actually just stay dormant in their body for long periods of time, and then the adrenal fatigue starts to trigger later after the glandular fever. So they'll go to a doctor, the doctor will do a test, basically say there's nothing wrong with you, you must be anxious or depressed, here's an antidepressant, anti-anxiety. This could carry on for 20 years or even longer, and many people come to me and they've had it for 20 years, untreated, and they're just flatlining for just decades.
Yeah.
A lot of them are nurses.
Yeah, and yogis. Yoga teachers.
And we're not talking about poor people, we're talking often about fairly successful, affluent people who've often alpha type people. So they've either got jobs where they have to go, or their mums go.
Yeah, they're in that, they get in that fight, flight or freeze, don't they, as well, because they're just...
It just becomes a cybernetic loop.
And at the moment, with everything going on,
That's right.
there is major fight, flight or freeze happening.
That's right. And COVID really triggered off a lot of that. So the statistics in New Zealand, according to one of the professors, one of the Auckland universities, was that burnout in the workplace went up from 11% to 46% in 18 months. I would say it's at least 45 to 50%. And the problem with this is it affects morale, it affects confidence, it affects our self-esteem.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to. Once we get the chemicals into our brain to feed our hypothalamus, feed our pituitary, start to feed our gonads, so for men it'd be testosterone, women to get their progesterone, estrogen elevated and running smoothly, get the adrenal glands working. So the product that we do a lot of work with has 4 of the main glandular systems that we're treating in one tablet.
Yeah.
But then we do a lot of work on the B vitamins and getting the vitamin C levels up, and we use adaptogenic herbs like maca and ginseng and ashwagandha and licorice.
Nice.
So there's a combination, it's a protocol that we use that was developed by Dr. Wilson.
Yeah.
And he's someone who did his 3rd doctoral degree to learn more about the adrenal system, and he came up with the term adrenal fatigue.
Yeah.
Now, he already had 2 doctoral degrees. He had a lot of experience in helping people. This was a new 21st century type condition. And as you very rightly said, it's been elevated both by the COVID phenomenon, all the lockdowns and isolation and anger and frustration people experience, but also more recently, every 12 or so years, the sun pole reverses. And there's a lot of extrasolar flares, a lot of plasma.
The solar flares, I think, because, you know, a lot of people are getting these awakening and ascension symptoms, and it really is affecting their adrenals at the same time. You know?
But this whole thing of ascension, see, for a lot of modern people think, oh, it's a new phenomenon, but this is, there have been masters of compassion and wisdom for thousands, millions of years, but let's just talk modern history, thousands of years, Jesus, Buddha, Zoroaster, Plato, Socrates. There's a long list. So the process of initiation has been very well recorded, how we would go through it. Like, for example, Jesus with the crucifixion, that would be the 4th initiation.
Yeah.
But he had a more important process happening for him, was the resurrection. So without the resurrection, the crucifixion's a lot of pain and suffering.
Yeah.
So the crucifixion's about the opening of the heart and the vulnerability that happens when we open our heart.
Yeah.
But it then relies on the sacrifice of the personality to the soul. So that's why they call it a crucifixion. So the personality dies so the soul can express itself in a new form or a new body.
Yeah.
And that's the most important part of it. And so this has been, you know, people who study proper spiritual science in schools that have training at a disciplined level can start to learn all this. And I was just very lucky. I joined a school back in about 1990.
Yeah.
And I went through a whole process, and a lot of it was about purification. The first 5 years was a lot of purification.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to have initiatic experiences, your body needs to be pure and your mind needs to be clean.
Yeah.
And your emotions need to be
Yeah.
cleaned out. You can't be carrying a lot of childhood trauma or resentment or whoever hurt us 25 years ago.
Is this why a lot more people are getting the adrenal fatigue as well? Because they're not clearing,
haven't resolved
not clearing
those issues. But
the mind, the body, the soul, like, you know, it's a whole combination.
But like, if someone as elevated as Jesus would still go through a crucifixion, now,
it's still...
what's, unfortunately, history can be rewritten in only a year or 2.
Yeah.
And that's happening in America all the time, and all over the world we're rewriting history and this whole thing of fake news. And
for sure.
It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Romans changed a lot of the teachings that related to people like Jesus and it became a Catholic system, and they rewrote it. Well, they didn't rewrite them, they were very selective with the books they used, and that was in a place in Turkey called Nicaea, and it's the Nicene Council.
Yeah, I
So
hear
there are
a
only
lot
4
about that.
books, and they took a lot of the best teachings out. Says we don't want reincarnation, we don't want things like karma coming into play here.
Yeah.
We want people to focus their minds about the here and now, but we'll talk about hell and fear, and so it became, rather than a liberational experience, it became a syndrome of pressure and fear.
Yeah.
And consequences, dire consequences, hell for eternity. So a lot of the most
No wonder
important...
we're stressed.
Well, your generation probably doesn't have to deal with that, but my generation, most of my generation, that was the persecution of the mind.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to undo those belief systems
That's right,
now.
because that was your parents' generation, and your grandparents' generation even more so.
Yeah.
The problem was when people broke away from the church and the good quality teachings of the church, it left a bit of a void. And so yoga, of course, has stepped in, but most of the yoga is almost like an oriental gymnastics. It's not. And I did a lot of that back in the 1970s and even in the 1960s.
Yeah.
You know, I could do a 12-minute headstand every night, and it was very, very good for my discipline. It wasn't necessarily very good for my spine, because it was in the dark and I wasn't being monitored. But the point being was that we all start off usually at the physical end of it and then work our way through.
Yeah.
So the higher forms of yoga, of course, are meditation, and they that realm of quantum that you talked about, which in spiritual science we can use the word spiritual atma or the different terms, or buddhi, but the English language is still a very new language. It's only 500 years old in its current form from the works of Shakespeare. Now Shakespeare was an initiate. The man who wrote the works of Shakespeare, he was an initiate, and he was designing a language that we could use that both gave scientific, like the Germanic languages, and the Romantic languages, the Latin languages that were more of an emotional expression. So Southern Europe's all about emotions, and Northern Europe's all about science and precision.
Yeah.
And English language, Shakespeare joined the two together. So we could both express scientifically and emotionally in the same language.
Yeah.
And so it was very important, but a lot of these spiritual teachings that are in languages like Sanskrit or the Taoist system of China, or all over the world, Polynesian culture, they have Egyptian.
Yeah.
So they have words that don't always translate easily into English.
Yeah.
So the meaning can get a little bit misinterpreted.
Yeah, but lost or
But the root languages are still there, because the original language was symbols, not words.
Yeah, see, that's what I see a lot of now is symbols and frequencies.
That's right.
Yeah.
And science can help to explain that really easily.
Yeah.
Like I've got a friend, Jonathan Quentin, for example. He's a visual sacred geometrist.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
And he's got some great friends around the world like Deepak Chopra and Nassim Haram and people like that. So Jonathan's been nurtured by some really big minds and big souls in the world. And, but he's one of these guys who was a little bit dyslexic, so that the graphics really appealed to him. And initially it's all done by hand, and then more lately he's got computers to do that. But for me, I'm of course interested in sacred geometry and the symbols, because these are like yantra.
Yeah.
And they can then correlate into mantra, which is the sound. And when we meditate at deep levels, we can experience our own yantra or our own mandala.
Yeah.
And we start to realize our body is designed very geometrically.
Yeah.
So health and well-being is very much about coherence. And that, when you talk right at the very beginning, this whole thing of holistic, well, that would have been holy once. But again, we translate language in such a way that we think holy just means spirit, as opposed to whole, and an integration of the spirit into the mind, into the emotions, and into the body.
I love that.
So that's what holy really is.
Yes.
So holy people are strong and vital and disciplined, and they've really got a lot of chutzpah. They can really take things on with energy and dynamics. They're not just going to hide in a cave, and they will, of course.
Well, some do.
Well, but not just that.
No,
Because that's an isolationism, and that's not really whole. That's almost segregation. So we've got very big problems in the world these days because people aren't coping particularly well. Anxiety is very high and depression. And there's not a lot of confidence in many people. Yeah, that's right. A lot of people don't have confidence in the future. They don't trust the older generations, and I'm part of that older generation. It's like...
Yeah, but you're not really.
But I'm born into that generation. See, I've been thinking about quantum stuff for over 60 years.
I don't know how you've done it for so long.
Well, I had a mother who encouraged me, and my grandmother was
awesome.
doing yoga in the 1950s.
Wow.
My mother was doing yoga in the 1960s.
Yeah.
So I'm born into that.
Yeah.
It's second nature. And my mother was a teacher, so she's teaching me to think. Not just to rotational learn, but to actually think. And I was very lucky that I daydreamed a lot at school because school was so slow and boring. I'm thinking, well, I've got to do something with my time. And Einstein talked about imagination being more important than knowledge.
That's, creation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because when people understand what the Akashic records are, or what Akash or Akasha is, it's a fabric of nature where things are recorded. So karma, for example, we record in the Akashic records. A lot of people don't like the word karma, or they don't like the principle of karma because they think bad karma, but karma is just neutral.
It's cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
Yeah, you just what you put out there, you're getting back.
And Isaac Newton was an initiate.
Yeah.
But he had to write a lot of his stuff in code, so a lot of these top people are having to write in code.
Yeah.
If you don't have the key to the code, you don't know what they really mean. So a way of defining karma, Isaac Newton says for every action is equal opposite reaction. That's a law of physics.
Yeah, true.
So Einstein came along and says, okay, well, we can go over and above that, and E equals mc squared. Well, that's photosynthesis.
Yes.
So we learn photosynthesis when we're 10 at school, but we don't know what it really means. We photosynthesize.
Yeah.
Every cell in our body is emitting photons every second of the day. And say about 100,000 photons per second per cell. So healthy people look lighter.
Yeah.
Their eyes are sparkling. There's a light in their being. And enlightenment is actually a physiological as well as a psycho-spiritual experience. As the body can resonate more light and circulate more light and use that light more coherently in harmony and coherence. So, and this has been mapped out by the great initiates for their chela or their disciples, but the problem is you can't give a lot of this knowledge to people who are selfish or greedy, because Hitler's a good example of someone who got access to some symbols, swastika for example, spun it the opposite direction. So instead of being a Christ symbol, it became an antichrist symbol by spinning it in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Same with the cross. He took the Teutonic cross, and you know, you look at the colours they use, black and red. He had some knowledge, and he used that. You know, he was using hypnotic magic.
Yeah, yeah.
And hypnotising.
It still happens. I hear it happens in like at rock concerts and stuff like that.
There's a guy in America who's doing
like
that
the Super
right
Bowl.
Now. Well, there's a guy in America with millions of followers who's doing that.
Yeah.
And you see
some
advertising. Well, he was heavily involved in media. Now he's heavily involved in politics.
Yeah,
he's using a lot of. You watch his hands sometimes and his tone of voice. He's very, very clever at getting a lot of people to follow his way.
Yeah.
So this has been happening for thousands of years, and politicians usually have advisors who teach them ways of attracting an audience.
Yeah.
But you know, and we have a world of democracy, which means everybody gets a vote. It doesn't mean the best people get to the top. So I was involved in a conversation with Bon Mak, that's the tradition in Tibet before Buddhism.
Oh.
And he argued against democracy, and at the time it was George Bush was president of the United States. He says, democracy gives you people like George Bush. But his community had a leader called the Dalai Lama, who's an initiate and a wise person. George Bush at the time was responsible for quite a lot of not particularly good behaviour. And he's saying that's the result of democracy, not meritocracy.
Interesting.
And the Dalai Lama, of course, is reincarnated. It's the same being reincarnating. They take a fresh body periodically and they carry a lineage of knowledge and compassion and wisdom through. And they get properly trained from a very young age, 2 or 3 years, and the best monks are involved in teaching them to be responsible leaders. Whereas our political system is it's more venal than spiritual and more materialistic.
Yeah.
And we said we want the church to be separate from the state, and there was a good reason for that. But at an ideal level, the spiritual and the material meet.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not in politics any longer. But if you go back in time, they were very closely associated. Most of the great pharaohs were initiates.
Yeah, true.
And they were priests as well as politicians or kings and leaders.
I forgot about that, yeah.
And so Egypt's probably one of your best examples, and same with India. Ashoka out of India, he had great advisors, and he converted from being a warrior into a warrior king who had a strong spiritual bent, and he was more, spiritually tolerant. So there's plenty of history if you want to study proper history and classics. The message has been left behind many, many times in all the different languages. But unfortunately, because we don't interpret languages particularly well all the time, the symbols are a more accurate definition. And that was our first language, called Senzar. That goes way back, and so some symbols are like a whole encyclopedia. Just the depth of knowledge inside a single symbol as it has meanings across different contexts.
Yeah, I've just been seeing so many symbols lately, and I've been seeing our soul name as a symbol, as a sound frequency.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's, they can look like mandalas, they can look like sacred geometry, and so many light codes are coming in for everybody at the moment, and super exciting time.
Well, sound and light are just different frequencies.
Yeah.
They're still part of the same vibrational codes.
Yeah.
Just some we view through our eyes. Some are invisible, like infrared and ultraviolet.
Yes.
And some we hear auditory. But it's still just energy expressing. And if you go back to a lot of the great work that's been left behind, like the Great Pyramids, for example, a lot of the monuments around the world in stone, which are all geometrically aligned, and they have the term Masonic. Now, the modern interpretation, that's Freemason, and that's often got a bad reputation for a whole variety of reasons. As all knowledge can descend very easily, just like some knowledge can ascend. But Masonic, matter, M-A, sonic, M-A for mother or matter, sonic meaning sound. So the integration of sound and matter. Yeah. So they'd be using vibrational sound systems, mantra and chanting and whatnot, to levitate stones. Or they could even have a technology to do it beyond just the human. Yeah. So to build, say, a 6 million ton building like a Great Pyramid, using sonic systems, Masonic systems.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
And that would then create an anti-gravitational influence, and so the stone is easy to... But also they would have had to cut the stone with laser systems, because some of that's granite and it's cut so accurately, it has to be some sort of laser system. Yeah, definitely. And technology, not hammering away with this chisel. You can't build a
we need to move on from that, because that's ridiculous. To think someone chiseled the pyramids.
And the interesting thing I've been doing lately is some AI. Because some of the AI can go both ways as well.
Same with humans.
That's right.
Same.
I say to AI, I want the high level stuff. Don't give me the mainstream version. Let's just use some intelligence here and start to talk about these things at a higher level. And so for a lot of people who want to learn more about this, AI could be helping by just saying, give me the high stuff. Yeah. What's the real science behind this? How could all these buildings all over the world be built on a matrix?
It's just so perfect. It's ridiculous.
Right. That's right. And it's only recently with satellites and stuff we can see the matrix where they're all on a grid. But that's also where the UFOs are sighted on the same grid. So anti-gravity. And a UFO has to have a way of overcoming gravity, otherwise you need these rockets which are just burning fuel. So both in building the Great Pyramid and in UFO technology is an anti-gravitational. Yeah.
So I always used to see them as docking stations, the pyramids, like charging stations. Like you charge your cell phone.
Yep, that's right.
That's how I used to see them. But we're levitating too, though, aren't we? Like, we're actually always levitating because nothing fully connects. What do you think about that one?
Well, ways we levitate easily is through our imagination.
Yeah. But it's but the magnetic fields kind of are pushing, we're kind of pushing off this couch, so we're not really.
But gravity does affect our physical
we're kind
body
of
quite
levitating.
significantly. Well, to me, we're a septenary being. In other words, we've got 7 bodies.
Yeah.
One's completely immaterial, and in the Sanskrit system they call it Atma.
Oh yeah, Atma.
Atma Buddhi Manas is the highest levels, but again, English doesn't have easy ways of translating those words or meanings. So the pure spirit comes into what we might call a soul, that might be called a buddhi, and then the manas is the mind. But that's not the practical mind, that's the intuitive mind.
Yeah.
It would be if people have purified their pineal gland and decalcified their pineal gland, their intuition is likely to be more successful.
Yeah.
But if they've got gut problems, well, that'll be pulling them out again,
Right.
because their gut brain will be misleading them.
Yeah.
The bacteria in their gut will be out of coherence. And that's what's been happening with a lot of these solar flares. It's been really disrupting a lot of people's gut.
Has it? Wow.
And their gut brain. So
Yeah.
their gut brain's agitated because bacteria quantum entangle with the sun.
Right.
In other words, the sun takes 500 seconds for the light to get from the sun, from the star to the earth. But the bacteria responded to the solar flare as it's happening on the sun, 500 seconds before we can witness the light.
Yeah.
That's quantum entanglement.
Yeah, true.
And that's not really, distance is very relative with that. So we've had a term, a butterfly flaps its wings in Hong Kong can affect us down here. Well, technically that's true.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the healing work we do at a deeper level for really serious cases or for people who are ready is quantum. We use a lot of light healing, and we use a lot of sound healing, and we use a lot of electronic type stuff, PEMF mats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We do a lot of ozone, which is electrified. Ozone is produced by mixing light and electrons with oxygen. So you potentize the oxygen.
Yeah.
And ozone, it's a very unstable gas, but very powerful.
Yeah.
So that can come into the body through the skin or through the ears or rectally or vaginally or through injections. But there's a combination of oxygen and light and electrons. And those electrons travel through the body very fast, as does the light. Chemicals travel through the body very slowly through metabolic processes and through blood circulating. But electricity and light are travelling much faster. So you can speed up the healing or speed up the regeneration because that's how our body works anyway.
Yeah.
Our body mainly works on photons and electrons.
Yeah. I love that how you combine the science as well, and it's not all about the pharmaceuticals. It's about going really deeper into where it's coming from rather than putting a Band-Aid on it. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, medicine's a business.
Yeah, well.
And the top of the tree.
That's a whole other story,
it's
isn't
a very
it?
successful business.
Yeah.
But I studied quantum physics and nuclear physics and chemistry and algebra, calculus, stuff like that at university back in the 1970s.
Yeah, wow.
There didn't seem to be a career path I wanted from that type of degree. So I sort of dropped out after getting enough of the basics to feel comfortable with the basics, and then ever since then for 50 years studying metaphysics. And Einstein said the more I study physics, the more I want to study metaphysics. So people like myself are lucky to be able to piggyback off these people like Einstein and Max Planck and Schrodinger and these people are helping to change.
You're the stepping stone now, though, because people are going to piggyback off your work and Dr. Bruce Lipton and all of the people you've worked with. So, you've held that space. So it's super exciting. And it is getting out there because you have planted the seeds for sure, and I'm seeing them growing now for sure, definitely. And I love how you're talking about the 3 brains as well. That's always so interesting to me, as it's not just about our mind. It's not, it's including our heart and our gut. So love the 3 brains.
Well, if we're a septenary system, and we can see, we've got a photographic system where we can photograph the aura.
Yes, you did that for me. Yeah.
And the further out you go, it's history out there, because the body is a light body. And we can photograph it now, so you can see where the obstacles are, the inflammation or the stagnation of energy, but you can also see where the body's really well lit up in different colours, like green's very healing.
Yeah.
But so we've got a photograph of one person, for example, with a really bright goldy light coming out of their brow. In other words, their pineal gland or their third eye is very active. You can't see an eye there, but you can see a radiation.
Yeah.
Just as an example. And so again, a lot of people, they're very beautiful greens around their heart. So for people that study chakras, green is the colour of the heart chakra.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people who are not that well, we see a lot of stagnation, pinks and reds, where the energy is just, because the frequency of red light is slower than the frequency of violet light. So it means it's been interfered with and slowed down, so it expresses as a red. So we can see the inflammation or the stagnation in the body. When people can actually see it for themselves, it can help them a lot to think, okay, well, my gut really is not just a short-term issue I'm dealing with here. I really need to work on this. And I can do everything from massage and
you were telling me that. I like how you were saying that. You can do like massage. It's really important everywhere. Yeah.
Well, the thing with the gut is you've got a colon that's about as long as you're tall.
Yeah.
So for someone who's 1.8 metres, their colon's 1.8 metres. It's about as wide as their wrist.
Yeah.
And that could carry for a person 1.8 metres, that you could have many, many kilos of waste material
That's
stuck
a lot of
in
crap.
there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you could easily have 25 to 30 kilos of waste material stuck inside your colon.
Wow.
Now that waste material comes from the food you've eaten, but most people, the big thing that we're noticing with most of our tests, and we've done some metadata on 3,000 tests we've done, is people can't digest their protein properly.
Yeah.
So the protein feeds the nerves, it builds the hormones, it builds the DNA, it builds muscles. Everybody knows about the muscles, but not many people know about the nerves.
Yeah.
They don't really think it's their DNA, and they don't really understand enough about the hormones. So the combination of protein and fatty acids get metabolized and synthesized into hormones. How many people's hormones aren't working properly? And the adrenals are part of the hormones.
The adrenals, the hormones, yeah.
So, you know, we estimate probably 80% of people have a suboptimal thyroid. And the symptoms, you know, an underactive thyroid, for example, will lead to obesity, it'll lead to cold hands and poor circulation, brain fog, reproductive problems, cardiovascular problems. So, how many people don't have one of those? Track it back to the thyroid. And the adrenals and the thyroid work hand in hand. The thyroid regulates both the brain and the heart. Well, brain problems, heart problems, thyroid in the middle.
Yeah.
Because nature's so clever, it puts things in the right place.
Yeah.
We just got to learn how to use them.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So we're all born geniuses, but we either get educated or conditioned into being way below that. But my interest for a long time has been, what's the level above a genius? And that's, you know, an avatar, a prophet, or a master of compassion. And that's the thing. The Western world is so focused on genius, but most geniuses are flawed. What happens once we start to deal with some of the flaws that geniuses have, and through these process of purification, getting taught well to go beyond the level of a genius. Because our education system struggles with that. And that's a big problem we have. Is that, you know, look at, say, an Elon Musk. He will very honestly say, well, I'm a bit Asperger's. I sort of, at least I admit it. The others don't admit it, but I will admit it. Well, I'd love to see him put his energy into some of other activities in life that would bring him greater happiness.
Yeah, yeah.
And rather than trying to build stations on Mars, and I get that, but how about we put some effort into the ecology on the Earth? And he's done that with solar, and he's done that with the electrical stuff. But a health system could benefit a lot from getting that type of mind into looking at what technologies can be used to help the brain function more coherently through technology, entrainment.
Yeah.
So we've got a system in there it stimulates the pineal gland.
Yeah,
for
I really
example.
want to try that one.
Yeah.
That sounds
Have it-
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just an entrainment
It's
with
a
light
light,
and sound.
yeah, light
Yeah.
and sound. Yeah, I love
And so
that.
we can take the brain into delta or theta or Schumann,
Yeah,
right up to gamma.
yeah. I'm trying to learn what the difference is for those.
Well, gamma's very fast.
Gamma's the fast
Our
one.
brains are going at beta
Yeah.
at the moment. They're probably going
Yeah.
40 hertz
Yeah.
at the moment, 40 cycles a second.
Mm.
Deep sleep, where the immune system really kicks in, is
Yeah.
under 4 hertz. Theta state, which is meditation.
Yeah,
or
because I was trying to
meditation.
think, when I'm channeling, am I in theta?
Well,
Yeah.
you could be jumping backwards
Jumping
and
up and
forwards
down.
into,
Yeah, I
into
feel like I am
gamma and theta.
all over the show. Yeah.
But hypnosis is in theta, and this is when I talk about people being geniuses. Up to the age of 7, our brain is mainly in theta state. So we absorb information incredibly easily and very quickly.
Yeah.
And like a 2-year-old can learn 3 different languages. My youngest grandkid's 2 and a bit, and she's very fluent in 2 languages and partially fluent in a 3rd. Sometimes she gets them mixed up, and she'll talk to me, say in Maori or Hocatt, Rarotongan,
Yeah.
but then she'll notice it quite quickly and she'll switch. But that's what you can do in theta state, and this is that beginning of super learning.
Yeah.
Because our education system really is common denominator, but it's penalising the geniuses, and they half the time end up with things like Asperger's, or because they're not in an environment.
I feel
to
like they're very
flourish.
multi-dimensional as well.
That's
These
right,
people
but
with
if we-
autism and
If we had an
Asperger's.
education system that brings out the special
Yeah.
sides of that, and then because a lot of autism is brain chemistry, like gluten can lead to a lot of. Gluten can cross the blood-brain barrier and really affect things like mood and concentration
Yeah.
and pain tolerance. So a lot of people with ADHD and stuff like that, they're not synthesizing protein properly, in particular stuff like gluten. And it's like putting glue into the brain. It's clogging parts of the brain up and it can't work properly. And that was, so there's a lot of problems in modern day with toxins or crossing the blood-brain barrier, and therefore the brain's not working properly. So you look at, the hair tests that I do to analyse.
Yeah, you do the hair test. I love the hair. You do the hair strain test and the and blood test.
Yep, live blood, so
Love
you can
that.
see your
Yeah.
own blood on the on the screen,
Yeah.
blown up under a microscope. If your blood looks like a grape, that's a great sign. If it looks like a raisin, that's not a good sign. It's going to be sticky
Yeah.
and hard to circulate.
Yeah.
It means a lot of the nutrients that would form the skin and hold in a nice tight formation that can pass through the blood vessels very easily have become degraded and it's sticky. So imagine trying to circulate raisins.
Yeah.
And if people knew the science behind blood and cardiovascular, your heart beats on average about 100,000 times every day.
Wow.
It's
That's a
pushing
lot of
blood
work.
over 1 million kilometres in a day,
Wow.
because you've got over 100,000 kilometres, not metres, kilometres of blood vessels. And the majority of those overwhelmingly are thinner than a hair.
Yes, I loved that when you were telling me they were thinner
Yeah.
than a hair. All these blood vessels just.
So they can only fit one
many.
blood cell. So if you're trying to
Like-
put raisins through there, they're going to
Yeah.
get stuck.
Wow.
And your heart's going to have to beat harder and you get tired more
Yeah.
easily. And your cells won't be properly fed the nutrients they need because your body's clogged up.
Yeah.
So that's why saying in the Biofield imaging, we can see all the inflammation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having healthy blood's vital.
We really need to look after ourselves now.
Well, we need
It's so important.
the knowledge going into the
We
health
do,
system, and
yeah.
that I'm including alternative health.
Yeah.
Most people in alternative health haven't studied genuine science. They might have studied a bit of chemistry,
Yeah.
and that's what I like about Bruce. Bruce is very honest. Bruce was a professor of immunology, or associate professor at Stanford University, so he'd reached a certain level of qualification. He's saying the most important science is physics. Well, I disagree slightly. I think it's maths, because everything in the cosmos is mathematically can be mathematically explained.
Yeah.
Physics comes next, and chemistry comes further down, because not even 1% of 1% of the universe is physics, is chemistry.
Yeah. True.
It's subatomic and quantum and gravitational and all the things that aren't chemistry. Same with our body. We look at a human body and we cremate somebody, it's just a little box, a couple of these of ash.
Yeah.
That's the minerals.
Yeah.
But if you took all the energy out of the if you'd reduce the atom just to the proton, not the space between the proton and the electron, the whole species would fit on my thumb.
Wow.
So the rest of it's energy.
Crazy. Yeah.
And we've known about this energy for a long time. There's a photo behind us of a lady called Annie Besant. And she wrote a book called Occult Chemistry, where she used...
Occult chemistry, yeah.
And she used her third eye, her and a guy called Charles Ledbetter. And I did a lot of study on these people. They formed the Theosophical Society. A lady called Helena Blavatsky was trained by some very advanced masters, Kutumi and Moria, and Dwal Khul, a Tibetan master. And they trained this Russian woman to bring suppressed or hidden knowledge back to the West.
Yeah.
Because after Egypt fell and the Romans got hold of the Western world, a lot of knowledge got crushed.
Yeah.
Julius Caesar wiped out 600,000 manuscripts from Tibet, 600,000 handwritten manuscripts. Because you could burn a library in a few minutes.
Yeah.
A library that might take hundreds of years to develop. We're not talking about printing press, we're talking about handwritten.
Wow.
And so what had happened after Alexander went into Egypt, they built the libraries of Alexandria. And they wrote to most of the top leaders of the world and said, send us your books, we promise to send them back, we'll copy them. So they made 2 or 3 copies of every book in the world and stored them in these libraries.
Yeah.
So that was like the World Wide Web of the day, but it was all handwritten. Well, Caesar destroyed 600,000 manuscripts. Christians came along and says, well, this doesn't agree with our religion,
Yeah.
and started wiping stuff out. Muslims did the same thing, and before you know it, these libraries are being... So a lot of that stuff got taken to Tibet, and they closed off Tibet from the outside world, which is easy in a big mountainous country. And the monks looked after these ancient texts. And so these, the Hocatt and these different monasteries have got these underground libraries.
Yeah.
So
I have remote viewed a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so Helena Blavatsky was taken to Tibet and trained as a tulku. And so what the masters, who were far more informed than her, were able to do is put information into her mind, superimposing information.
Yeah.
And then she was just remote writing. So she's writing books like The Secret Doctrine with huge bibliographies of books she's never read, but references.
That's cool.
So her first book was called Isis Unveiled, and that was the whole feminine tradition of Egypt being brought back.
Yeah.
And then she wrote another book called The Key to Theosophy, which was breaking it down to simple questions and answers, just a paragraph for each question. And that just dumbs down a lot of the more advanced knowledge into simple bites.
Easier to read, yeah.
And then The Secret Doctrine, which is a really difficult book to read because it was written in about 1880 to be understood now.
Oh.
Because we know what facsimiles are now. We have remote, we have the internet. We have all the IT stuff.
Yeah.
And we have 3D printers and stuff. So what she's writing about is easy to correlate now. But back in the day, that's considered to be witchcraft because it's like, well, how can you, what's a facsimile? How can you, it was like a form of a magic that wasn't understood.
Yeah.
It's easy to cast it as black magic because you're not promoting Christianity or Islam or Judaism.
Yeah.
You've broken out the confines of a strict religion.
Yeah.
So her books were very much spiritual science, and they set up older schools. Rudolf Steiner is a good example of somebody who trained in one of the schools.
Oh, really?
So the school I trained and the school
I did not
Steiner
know that.
trained in was the same fundamental school at a different age.
Yeah.
And he was the head of the school in Germany at the time. He broke away because to promote dark-coloured masters, and to Germany at the time was not going to
Oh,
fly.
it's not happening, yeah.
So it was easy to promote Goethe and Wagner,
Yeah.
but not easy to promote Kuthumi or Moria, and or even a Tibetan to Al-Kul.
Yeah.
And so there was a bit of a breakdown, and so he then developed the Anthroposophical Society in the schools, the Waldorf schools,
Oh, the water. Oh, yeah.
biodynamics, so the Steiner schools and the biodynamics agricultural tradition.
Wow.
But being a mathematician, it was easy for him to cross-reference into more advanced spiritual science.
Wow.
So the difficulty that a lot of people who study spirituality is they don't study some basic science as well,
Yeah.
so they can understand the meaning of some of the terms.
And this is what I love. I love combining it, for sure. Like we just, it's good to be open to everything.
Well, we don't have any choice because the world we live in has got very, very volatile.
Yeah.
The environment is under a lot of pressure, and we need people with clear heads and strong wills.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of energy and compassion to do something about. Because I've got a lot of grandchildren now, and a lot of children, a lot of grandchildren. I don't want to leave them to pick up the pieces of my generation's failure.
Definitely. It's time for us to take responsibility.
Yeah, each and
and
every
what I
one of
love
us.
about you as well, you're saying is grounding is really important as well. You know, I've met so many people up in their crown chakra, and they're all like, woohoo, woo, woo, you know, and it's all exciting, spiritual's exciting. And then, but
lost in space.
Yeah, but hello, we need to take responsibility for our bodies, for Earth, you know.
Well, it's a simple science. It's the science of grounding or earthing.
Yeah.
This Earth flies through space at 100,000 kilometres an hour. It's rotating at 100,000, it's flying around the sun at 100,000 kilometres an hour. It's spinning around at 1,500 kilometres an hour. So and then the sun is flying through the galaxy at 800,000 kilometres an hour. And the galaxy is rotating at nearly 2 million kilometres an hour. So it's a massive vortex.
I always call it a snow globe, like someone's shaking it, and it's like.
And here we are on this only planet we've got the faintest idea how to live on, and people are wanting to jump off it for some reason.
Yes.
I don't know where they're planning to go, but the Earth's hit by lightning.
Yeah.
About 6 million times a day. So it's filling the globe Earth itself up. It's supercharging with the electricity. Our bones are metal, calcium and magnesium. They're conductors of electricity.
Yeah.
The minerals in our body, 4% of our body is minerals, or conductive minerals, to run our nervous system. And the bones are conductors. They're electrical conductors. So if we put our feet on the ground, we can absorb the electricity.
Yeah.
So we see it with the blood. You can do before and afters on blood, and there's a tremendous difference. Because that electricity will eventually end up in the blood, and we all know about like forces repel with magnets. Well, it's the same with electricity. So if you've got blood cells full of electricity, as in electrons, they saturate with electrons, and then they start to emit electrons as energy, and the blood cells start to push each other apart, which improves our circulation.
Yeah.
When I talk about these people with clustered like raisins,
In the blood.
the electricity, there's not enough electricity in their blood, so it's just clumping. And the heart has to somehow push 100,000 times every day.
Because I thought it was too
Sticky
much
blood.
electricity sometimes, and you have to actually like release it. Is it a bit of both?
The electricity has to be grounded, earth.
Right,
so,
earth, right.
So we have
Right.
a 3-pin plug in New Zealand with an earth at the bottom.
Yeah.
To stabilise the electricity. And so anxiety at a basic scientific level is a lot of static electricity.
Yeah.
The brain's jumping around without being able to hold an electrical current and a stable coherence. So the mind is jumping all right over the place with unstable nervous system.
Yeah. So take your shoes off.
Grounding,
Get on the earth.
You know, I sit on a grounding.
We've got our shoes off right now.
Yeah. And this room's got that QSB over there.
The grounding,
You know, I sit on a grounding mat all day in my office. My keyboard sits on top of a grounding mat. My mattress has a grounding mat underneath my sheep.
There's so much science to it because it
Easy.
always seemed woo-woo. Oh, take your shoes off and touch the earth, you know, like it sounded new agey, but it's not. It's not.
It's just pure science.
It's science.
And lightning is the key to it, because the earth itself has this negative charge. And you can see, you know, the earth has this grid, and it's, you know, it's a north pole, south pole, and the energy's coming out and looping around as it's spinning around. We've just got to understand some really simple science and assimilate it into coherence.
Yeah.
Because once our mind starts to get the themes, it becomes a lot easier. But if we keep thinking upside down, like for example the sun rises, we keep making these statements that are not accurate.
Yeah.
So before we know it, pretty much every theme in our life is out of proportion to reality.
Yeah, our beliefs
Like
are
by
not
saying the sun
matching up
rises.
with,
Well, it doesn't rise, we just spin towards it.
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
keep throwing things upside down to simplify them, but it actually doesn't.
Yeah.
Because you do enough of that on just about every theme, on every topic. And that's why medicine is reductionist chemistry, toxins mainly. Tell me what is non-toxic about the mainstream medical system.
Yeah.
The drugs, the radiation they use is toxic. Even cutting something with a knife. You know, surgery. The last surgery I had was too young to do anything about it. It was about 1963. I was told after sports injuries I would never play that sport again if I didn't have an operation on both shoulders. I thought, I didn't believe it, I didn't want that to be true. But if I'd had the operation, I wouldn't be able to drive a car for several weeks.
Wow.
I'm thinking, but I've got all these kids to look after, so I have to drive a car. Even if it was only the reason I need to keep driving a car, I didn't have the surgery, but I didn't want it in the first place. I was back playing that sport for decades afterwards, successfully, with no operation. In other words, the body
heals,
given a chance.
Yeah.
So I was lucky I could do a lot of acupuncture, get sort of osteopathy, different alternatives.
And just the mind
But
as
the key
well.
is the mind.
And
The mind
you're
is the
doing
driver.
the quantum quantum healing, and because you do a lot of that too, don't you? The quantum
I do
healing
a lot of one-to-one.
Yeah.
We can have several people involved. And we do a lot of before and after the blood. So a lot of these people with, say, very difficult cancer, their blood will look dreadful, like really, really clumped and sticky. It's impossible to heal that cancer without cleaning the blood up and getting some quality nutrients into the blood.
Right, so the nutrients as well.
Well, that's what heals the cancer. You can cut the cancer tumours out, but if you miss some, it can easily or if it doesn't address the core issue. So many people get cancer and then it relapses or then it metastasizes. I've got one client who's 4 times now, and they come in here in tears with the cancer. They ignore the advice we give them.
Right, so it's still repeating the same kind of
Well,
patterns
it just
and
shifts around the body. And usually what stage 4 means, it's metastasized. So it's the body trying to deal with maybe 2 or 3 different types of cancer in different places. And I mean, some of the clients have got tumours as big as that.
Wow, yeah.
That can't be operated. But Fitz-Alfred Popps recognised decades ago you can shrink cancer, or you can shrink tumours and kill cancer cells with light.
Light.
So we use a lot of red light therapy, or green light therapy, or infrared, or ultraviolet.
Wow.
And we've got 7 different light spectrums on the bioptron light, and then we have the fullerene, the carbon 60, which is like a flower of life. So we've probably got about 10 different light therapy systems we use here, from infrared to ultraviolet to broad spectrum to narrow spectrum, near infrared, far infrared. And you combine that with things like the ozone therapy, where you put light into oxygen, light and electrons into oxygen, to develop ozone. Well, that ozone comes into the body and releases all the light and the electrons.
Right.
It's so clever.
And then you're doing nutrients as well.
And then all the nutrients.
Yeah.
So we've got
it's a whole combination, but it's just...
Well, I was really lucky to
come
across a system years ago. And I know the guy who built it. And he was a heart surgeon thinking, God, I can't save everybody's life. Why aren't doctors giving these people good nutritional advice or lifestyle advice? Why are these people obese or so badly inflamed and living on crappy diet in the north of England, crappy English diet, I can't save everybody's life. But what he was finding was that if he prayed, so he wasn't praying in front of the patient, he'd go behind the screen and pray, that seemed to work for some people.
Yeah.
The results were better.
Yeah.
He wanted to know why and how. So
Right,
he went on he sold his jet helicopter and gave up medicine and went on a journey. He ended up in India and then ended up becoming a Tibetan monk.
They all end up in
monk.
India.
Well, it's one of the places where a lot of the knowledge is still kept alive.
Yeah.
He became a monk, shaved his head, renunciated.
Wow.
They taught him some advanced stuff about sound, about mantra. And, there's people in Tibetan circles who levitate.
Yeah.
You can see them
Levitating, yeah.
levitating.
Fully.
And the Dalai Lama's...
Not just what we're doing. Fully levitating.
Well, the Dalai Lama's uncle was seen to be a metre off the ground on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So I first had a feeling that I was levitating back in the early 70s with a crystal ball healing. And that was my first, wow, okay, what's happening now? I feel like I'm this far
off the ground,
So that's not for me an important process because part of my spiritual training is not around phenomenon, it's around altruism and service and practical active acts that make the world a better place or help to contribute to a better world rather than tricks and magic. Because that's distracting and then people jump on the trick and forget
and not what's really behind
the purification and the compassion and what's needed to build a decent society, have a healthy family, have a healthy be a healthy being.
Yeah, live in the world.
And that was me back in the day, as I say, doing the headstand. It was great for my discipline. It was good starting place.
But not the spine.
Well, no. And it distracted me from what else I could do with my mind and my concentration and as an act of service.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you, John, honestly. You are so amazing. I think one more thing, I say it incorrectly, Saint Germain, because I channel him a lot. How do you say it, John?
Saint Germain.
Saint Germain. Saint Germain.
Well, I don't speak French.
Well, he's keep coming through all morning. He is friends with John. That's his buddy, honestly, Saint Germain. So I had to do a
he's
shout out.
He's considered to be the 7th ray master, and we're coming into the age of Aquarius.
Yes. Age of Aquarius.
Where Jesus is a master helping to governance the Piscean age. This master of the 7th ray, which is a ray of like a ceremonial magic, and you look at the world of science that we operate in now, it's very much a world of magic, Wi-Fi and World Wide Web and now AI, and it's very, very, you go back to say 1880 and this would have been considered
magic or
impossible.
Yeah.
And we take it for granted, and we wander around. All of us wander around with these phones and iPods and
I'm recording it right now
using,
on a phone.
As though it's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the last
magic
4 million years on the planet, this wasn't normal.
No.
So, and yet the people who built the pyramids must have had technology even more advanced.
Than this.
And they just used it differently.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah.
And the problem we keep having is we keep contributing to ice ages by degrading the world's environment, and then humanity ends up back in the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Because you go through a 50,000 year ice age.
Yeah.
What science is going to, how are you going to generate the type of electricity we normally use in an ice age? It's like going to the Antarctic with no fuel.
Yeah.
And what clothes you're going to wear, what transport systems you're going to have. And so, humans came out of an ice age around about 14,000 years ago with no technology.
Yeah.
The remnants of that Plato wrote about, he called it Atlantis. Well, there's evidence that it was using a lot of crystal technology in Atlantis. And the great thing about a lot of the work we do is there's a guy called Marcel Vogel who developed a lot of the silicon chips for IBM. Oh. But he also did a lot of work on water. Water crystals. So if you freeze water, it becomes a crystal. and Masaru and
Yes,
Vader
love
Austin and
love
various
him, yeah.
others have done a lot of this crystallography.
Yeah.
But Marcel Vogel's one of the early ones too, out of IBM. And so water carries information, in my opinion, more accurately than silicon.
Oh, yeah.
And how you can measure it is by freezing the water and looking at the crystal dimensions and the structure. So if you go back to the great spiritual teachings, they're very much around compassion and forgiveness and gratitude. And for people who meditate like that on water, it will form a perfect hexagonal crystal.
Yeah.
Then you fast forward that and think, okay, what are humans built of? What's the chemicals we're built of? These are carbon rings, hexagonal carbon rings.
Yeah.
So the basic carbohydrates are six-sided sugars, and a lot of the proteins are six-sided carbon rings, but they might have a five-sided, so a pentagram and a hexagram joined together to make a nucleotide to form DNA. So the harmonics of the water would contribute towards the harmonics of the carbohydrate or the protein, because protein's basically water plus carbon dioxide plus some nitrogen. And carbohydrates, which is what we learnt when we're 10, is the photosynthesis of carbon dioxide and water. So if it's healthy water or holy water or structured water, it's going to bond more easily and form a healthier nutrient to grow and feed a healthy body. So what Jesus taught very much was around gratitude, forgiveness and compassion. That harmonises water. And that water forms blood, etc., 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 and can flow through our body exponentially more effectively under those contexts. And it's a bit like some music makes us happy, and some music makes us sad or angry. Well, the sort of music that's likely to make us happy is also likely to vitalise the water inside our body and our blood.
I have seen pictures of that, like heavy metal music and like classical music.
Well, we've got,
the difference of
the
crystals in the water.
And it shatters the structure. But so does Wi-Fi.
And
so does microwaves.
What we're saying to ourselves.
That's
what
right.
we're telling ourselves.
So there's a scientist out of Russia called Konstantin Korotov, and he's really worth studying. He says after 30 or 40 years of studying water, the thing I've noticed has affects the water most is human emotions.
Yeah, wow.
Now these people are going to places like Venezuela, up in the highlands above the Amazon River, the tributaries to the Amazon River, and finding water that's almost no human's ever been there before in recent times, the cleanest, purest water. So they're able to take, really good samples of clean water and right the way through to water out of taps and stuff. And when we've taken water out of the tap, and Vader Austin's done some of the crystallography for us, it looks like this carpet. Absolutely like no structure at all.
No structure.
Yet we harmonise it with one of our light and sound technologies, and it starts to look like a fern or like a plant.
That's cool.
As it starts to form some structure. So basically, biologically, we are structured water combined with other chemicals to carry electrons and liberate energy in different ways. And once we start to understand this stuff, we can take what would otherwise be basic medicine and amplify it to such high levels that you can get the results you get are exponential compared to what you would with mundane reductionist chemistry.
That's so interesting.
And the best athletes in the world have been doing this. Novak Djokovic has been talking about this, getting rubbish for talking about this for a long time, but look at what he's able to do. He's 38, he's just got in the semi-finals of all the 4 majors at the age of 38. There's only 2 people in the world he can't beat, and they're so young and hot and fresh. They've got access to the same science he does. So they all understand gratitude.
Gratitude, appreciation, and just being kind to yourself.
That's right. So the best athletes all know this.
And
that vitalises them just like it would a sick person. And so they don't only train and take all the best nutrients, but they practice this psychology, positive psychology, to amplify their blood.
Yeah, well, they're doing that with plants too now, like we were
That's
saying
right.
a while ago. You know, if you're kind to a plant, then it's going to, you know, thrive
right.
so much more than when you're bullying a plant.
That's right.
The kids at school have been doing all these
Yeah.
studies as well. So,
See,
yeah.
I use something here that I wear,
Oh, yeah.
and it's called a genomic.
Genomic.
And if we run water through that, and then feed the plants with that water, you're getting at least 25% more plant growth.
Yeah.
If we were to put cheap cask wine through there, it'll taste like expensive wine.
Oh, wow.
So the
Some
water
people like
tastes softer and fresher.
Yeah.
So I wear it around my neck,
Yeah.
and then everything that goes through, all the food and water, like food's mainly water,
Yeah.
all the food that goes through this is charged up in a circuit.
Wow.
And I charge this up with light and harmonic light and sound. And this has got rare earth minerals. So there's a reason Donald Trump's trying to go into Greenland or Canada, because they've got rare earth minerals to run the electronics of the future.
Yeah.
Well, my body's an electronic system,
Yeah.
and I'm amplifying the electronic system of my body by passing nutrients or water through there and charging it up
Yeah.
and circulating it.
Amazing.
And so the plants respond to that just like a human does. So we are just a very, very complicated version of a plant, if it comes down to it.
We are.
And we live on protein.
Yeah.
A plant is sugar.
Yeah.
So we can't run a healthy human. That's the big thing, going back to that whole thing of fatigue and adrenal fatigue and anxiety. So many people we're working with, they're not able to synthesize their proteins into the muscles, the nerves, the DNA and the hormones to run a healthy system. A simple thing like protein, but it can create such a big problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's after 3,000 tests that we've meta-analysed, biggest issue. And that then affects the hormones, the adrenals and the emotions.
Yeah.
So this could actually be so much easier than people realise if they were just to open their mind to another level of science
Yeah.
that doesn't get taught at universities or schools.
School, yeah. Oh, it'd be so good if it was taught at school.
Well, it eventually will be.
It will. It will.
It's just a matter of how long it takes to evolve.
Yeah. We're getting there. We're definitely getting there. There's a huge shift happening. So, thank you, John.
My pleasure.
So have you got something? Any last words?
Well, the last words are one of hope.
Yes. Yeah.
That we participate in this world, and there's a principle of science called the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. In other words, when you observe something, it alters. We need to participate, not just observe our life. And so we've got to learn to self-realise
Yes.
and observe our behaviour, but it then becomes very much participate.
Yeah.
And so my thing is be the change in the world, and the change we want is a positive change and positive society.
Definitely.
And contribute to that. And it's not about moaning about what's happened in the past. That can be healed.
Yeah, we're the creators. We can
That's
create
right.
this beautiful new
Co-creators.
future.
Yeah, that's right.
For sure.
But we have to participate. We have to get involved. We
Yeah.
have to be strong and vital and
Yeah.
enthusiastic.
We're not the victims.
No. Well, we might have been in the past.
We
but
thought we
that
were,
needs to
but-
be pushed into the past and healed in certain ways with quantum psychology or quantum biology,
Yeah.
as well as good nutrition.
Yeah.
And then build these positive relationships and coordinate our activities.
Yeah. Definitely.
And it all starts off at a certain intention.
Yeah.
And that's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And we know that whichever way we want to look at it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, John. You are incredible. I appreciate you so much. You're just
Thank you.
putting out this vision for the world, and you've just I see you've just held this space open. You've held this quantum, holistic space open for our Earth collective, our human collective. So thank you so much for putting it out there. And, you know, that seed is definitely growing more and more as people, I think now people are like, hey, hang on, I really need to take a look at what I'm doing for my health, for myself, for my mind, body, soul, for my 3 brains, for everything. So thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you, and thank you for all the great work you're doing.
Thank you, you're awesome.
And be part of the paradigm shift.
Yes, we are part of the
the change.
Quantum paradigm shifting here. It's happening. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining me. Thank you to John, and I'll put details about John's work below, so check it out. Thank you so much. See you guys soon. Bye for now.